Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Let's let the show begin. Hello, Tessa.
Hey, Joe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, today we are going to be tackling some of our wedding mid-season Q&As. There are so many great questions that we get from our listeners. Today, what we've kind of done, we've taken a bunch of questions and kind of framed it around. These are the questions your guests are going to ask you. So be prepared.
So there's sort of Q&As about Q&As.
Q&As about Q&As. I like that. That's
right?
good. All right.
Okay, thanks. And I think what we kind of talked about when we looked at it is a lot of these questions are just kind of those like, oh, these questions, people are asking the same thing. So in my head, these are the questions that you should have already pre-answered on your website or somewhere for people to get the information.
So you're not having to field 1,000 text messages about what's the weather like this time of the year, or should I bring 1 or 3 bikinis?
Exactly.
Or mankinis.
Whatever you want to wear is up to you. But
Is
yes.
a mankini appropriate? I don't know. Do we have to answer that question?
It depends on the location. I think some places it's appropriate, some it's not. But whatever it is, let's get these questions answered for your guest before they all ask the same thing.
Perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred & Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started.
All right. Welcome to the show, everyone. Let's get started. So these questions we're going to be talking about are definitely questions that I think you're going to hear if you're planning a wedding. So our hope today is that you're going to be prepared and at least have them, pre-thought out, and the information that you create, right, that you share with your guests on your save the dates, on your wedding website, maybe even if you're doing like little inserts that you might give in your like welcome swag bag or whatever, like this is all really important stuff. So obviously, where's the ceremony at, right? What time does it start? I mean, you have to have already figured that out, and that needs to be shared. But I think there's a lot of other things that people are always constantly asking. Is there going to be an open bar? Or
question.
Do I need to bring cash for the bar, right? That's my big question. So like, let's get into this. What do we have? Like a handful of great questions. And again, like take notes, answer those questions yourself, and be ready to share.
Joe, one thing that I really like nowadays about weddings is in this age of technology, almost every couple has a wedding website.
Yep.
And I love that every wedding website has frequently asked questions, Q&As, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
I think it's so important because you're going to get the same dumb questions over and over and over.
Are they really dumb?
What time is ceremony? Well, did you read your invitation?
Right.
It's there, right? It's the same questions over and over. And so I think what I love is by putting these on your website, you can easily send people, say, check out the website for information, check it out. So it's always there. People can look at it 24/7 leading up to your wedding. You can add more as you get these questions. This is what we want to talk about today, right? We have, like you said, a handful of questions that are constantly asked. Get these pre-answered.
So is this the only place you can share the answers to your questions, right? The Q&As, is it just on the website, or is there other places that, like in terms of just being able to get that information to your guests? Is there another place that you see your save the date, your invitation, like where else?
So you're opening a can of worms here, where could you send it in the save the date? Technically, etiquette wise, no, right? Your save the date should be your date and the location, and that's
Not
it.
even the time.
No, it's
Okay.
save a date. There may be a
Okay.
picture of you, there may be not. If you want to add an insert, you can, but what most people will do is have your website link.
Okay.
So you can do that. On your invitation, you should not be having all of this miscellaneous information. If you want to add an insert with some Q&As, you can. But again, if we're looking for clean, gorgeous design, a link to the website just makes more sense. So there are multiple places that you can put the website, but the ideal is people should be coming to one place, only because if you're printing the information and maybe you change, or maybe now you add shuttle information, right? Because you're not going to have that information until later. Having everything on your website gives people the most updated, accurate information.
So that makes sense. So like website, you can always be changing things, adding things, maybe answering new questions that you hadn't anticipated. Okay. And I didn't know that was the etiquette. So thanks for informing me.
There's invitation etiquette.
Invitation etiquette. Okay. Let's get into the questions. Can we start with my question?
What's your question?
Well, the one we started out with, is this an open bar or is this a cash bar? Is that a question that you can be answering? Because like in my mind, if it's a cash bar, I have to make sure that I bring money. If it's an open bar, I got to bring my liquid IV.
Or maybe they don't want to tell you it's a cash bar, so you don't like go over the top.
Okay, so interesting, right? So if it's an open bar or a cash bar, so maybe that's a decision that maybe you do or don't want to share, depending on who your guests are, right?
Exactly. And I have on the website had people say, drinks will be flowing, plan your transportation accordingly. So again, there are ways, if you know it's an open bar, you know that your family and friends are going to party and drink, I think it is important to let them know, don't drive or plan, or we have transportation because there's an open bar. So it kind of, leads to one of our other questions is how are people getting to and from your wedding?
Okay, but on the flip, if it's a cash bar, I want to know that, right? I want to make sure, especially if it's a cash bar, an actual cash bar, if I only show up with like $10, you know what I mean? Like, then it's a problem.
You're going to be sad.
You want to be prepared, right? I would be sad.
And this leads me to my next point, transportation. A lot of times, especially destination weddings, guests will ask the couple how to get to the venue, if it's far or if it's, somewhere that they need to get to, or if they know they're drinking, right? What is the best way for them to get there? A lot of times couples will hire transportation for the guests to get to and from. People may choose to Uber if it's close or close enough. So how are we getting there? I think that's a very common question that couples are expected to answer. Whether you're hosting or not transportation, just letting them know. There's a lot of Ubers in Hawaii, or there are no Ubers where you're going, plan accordingly, or rent a car or carpool, or it's close to your hotel, just walk on over, whatever it is. Having a plan so people know is really helpful.
So also sharing the address, right? You got to have the address.
That's on the invitation etiquette.
Yeah. Well, okay. And then the other thing too is the shuttle. So if you are providing a shuttle, which a lot of our couples will do, where is the pickup location? What time is that? What if you miss it? And I see that being a place where guests can get confused if it's not clearly written out.
And guess where it goes? On the website.
Yeah, exactly.
All of this information, right? What time is the shuttle pickup? We always tell people, make sure they know, get there 15 minutes early. The shuttle leaves at this time. If you don't make it on the shuttle, a lot of the venues that we have here in Oahu, 45 minutes, an hour out. So we will tell them, if you miss this shuttle, Ubers are, anywhere from $100 to $150. Plan accordingly. So I think when we kind of throw out that price, that threat, people are like, I better be there on time because I don't want to pay that to get out there.
Totally. I'm going to be there early for that. Okay.
It's $100 of drinks at your cash bar.
Yeah, that's $100. Yeah, exactly. That's $100 of drinks at the cash bar. Okay, got it. Okay. Here's another one that I think is really important. Dress code. What is the dress code for the wedding? Right. And so how do you answer that? How would you answer that if you're a couple planning a wedding?
So I think it's a two-part, right? Number one, it's what is the vibe that the couple's going for, right? So is it more formal? Is it casual? Is it tropical chic? Whatever it is, it's nice to set that tone. And if you're very particular about the look, I've had couples do kind of style boards, lookbooks. So on the website, right, again, put this on your website. Here's some inspiration photos of things that we like. The second part, though, in addition to your dress code vibe, it's where are you getting married? If you're getting married in the sand, I would warn women, don't wear stilettos, don't wear heels. It's hard to walk in. Or if you know it's going to be 150 degrees and humid, maybe let people know, don't wear tuxedos, don't wear suits. It's going to be very, very hot. You know, I think we just did a wedding last week where it was hot outside. The sun was beating down. Everybody was a little more formal and they were miserable. It was so, so, so hot.
But they all look great.
They looked stunning. Your photos are going to be amazing. But I think it's fair to let people know what to expect when they are planning their attire.
And if you expect your guests to look a particular way, which we've had this before where guests are asked to wear all white or all tropicals or whatever it is, then you have to be really clear about that. Because the one person who shows up and it's not wearing that, whatever it is, all white or whatever, is going to stand out and they're going to feel really awkward. You don't want to be that person.
And we're going to make them feel really awkward. Why are you wearing blue, buddy? We get asked on our podcast all the time, you know, what is the etiquette? Why are people asking us, can I bring a +1? What does this look like? Why are people asking us, you know, if we don't put on their invitation, can I bring a +1? Why do they keep asking us that?
So do you need to spell that out?
You do.
Okay.
You do. So I think it used to be kind of stated that, you know, if on the invitation it says just my name, the implication is it's just me. What's happening nowadays for some reason, especially with destination weddings, is people are saying, well, I'm traveling all the way here. Can I just bring my date, my husband, my significant other, my boyfriend, whatever, with me? Can they come? So again, have a limited guest count. If you have a limited budget, right? I think it's putting it on your website clearly. If you can bring a +1, you know, either yes, we'd love to, or we're so sorry for these reasons, we are not allowing +1s if you did not get a formal invitation.
What about this though? And I see this happening a lot. Last minute, husband or wifey gets sick and has a travel emergency or something that happens. Can they bring someone else to fill in that space? And is that okay? Like, how do you address that as a couple? And do you do that on your wedding website?
So I don't think that's something that you'd necessarily put on your wedding website, but every couple is different. I would say it's not a replacement. So if it's, you know, me and my husband and he can't come, you don't bring like second best. You don't bring the B list. It's still just the two people that were invited because they may take that opportunity to invite someone that couldn't make it on their A list.
Okay, that's actually a really interesting point because they might want to fill that space with someone that just they didn't have space for in the first place. And if you're bringing, you know, some random person
that they don't know.
Yeah, that they don't know, then yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So I think it's always worth asking. I don't think it makes sense to put it on your website, but if you are thinking in your head, I'm just going to do a little swappy swap, I would definitely have a conversation with the couple first.
So, okay, this actually leads to the next one, which is, can I bring my kids?
So controversial.
Right. We actually had a whole show about this. I guess, what are your thoughts on this? Like, is this something that you put on a wedding website? Is this something that you could actually put on your invitation? This is an adult only or kid free wedding. Where do you put that information? Because if that's going to happen, again, if that's a question that you're going to be fielding, where do you put it?
So again, I don't think it fits on an invitation, right? Invitation is basic location, time, date, who's getting married, you know, all of those things. All of these extra questions should go to either an insert in addition to your invitation in the envelope or on your website. I think in this day and age, it should be crystal clear if kids are invited. So again, on your invitation, it should say, my husband and I, we don't include my daughter's name. So it's just two. On your RSVP card, it should say 2 seats are held for you and you. Possibly on your RSVP card, you could add something about kids not being invited, or again, in an insert. On your website too, though, there should be a very specific place to say, you know, either a Q&A where we're asking like, are kids allowed? You know, and again, due to restrictions, due to venue, due to whatever, no. Or a comment somewhere basically saying, hey, we love your kids. We love all of this. We'd like to enjoy this night by ourselves or whatever else it is. But it should be crystal clear because I promise you someone in your wedding is going to ask this question.
So I really like the red rubber stamp that has like kid's face and the little band signal. Yeah. Okay. That's what I would like to see too, but I don't think that probably fits in the Tessa Gomes like wedding etiquette.
Well, not on the invitation. On your website, if you want to put that somewhere, you do you, but not on the invitation.
All right, perfect.
Can you imagine shooting that with a flat lay?
Yes, I like it.
No kids.
No kid.
I love that.
If you want to borrow my stamp, I have 5 of them.
When you had kids at your wedding.
All right. This is another question that people are asking about all the time is accommodations, right? Where can I stay? Where should I stay for this wedding? And so where do you address that? How do you address Do you create a list of different hotels? This is the hotel the couple's going to be staying at and the wedding might be at, or here's, a range of different options for your couples. What are you expected to actually provide for your guests?
Sure, that's a good question. And I think it really kind of depends on a couple things, right? Number one, the size of your wedding. If you're having a large wedding, large being 100 plus, and you have people that are traveling in where they'll need hotel accommodations, a room block makes sense. If you're getting married at a hotel, having a room block in that hotel makes sense. They can often offer a discount, a better price, and again, convenience of your guests being able to kind of stumble back up to their room at the end of the night. If your wedding's a little smaller, you may not be able to fill a room block. A lot of times you have to guarantee a certain amount of rooms, which I think makes it really hard. With those weddings, or sometimes, again, if you're just not wanting to commit to one room block at one hotel and one type of room, having a range, right? Mid to higher end or low to higher end, so your guests can kind of choose. I always tell people it's interesting because people at different parts of their lives need different things out of a hotel. If you're kind of, just right out of college, low budget, you're staying at the cheapest hotel with like 5 friends.
And lots of bed bugs.
Lots of bed bugs, but you're not in there, right? You're out, you're partying, and that's totally fine. You also may be, if you're a new parent, you need a fridge, you need the food, you need, you want a pool for your kids, all of those things. Your wants are different. So everyone's hotel needs are different. I think having a range of hotels on your website for guests to choose is the smartest thing to do. And again, people will ask, where you want me to stay? Where do you want me to stay?
Okay, this is a question for you, the coordinator in the room.
Yeah.
Like, is this something that your coordinator can help you with? Because like if I'm coming to a location, a destination location, and I have no experience with that place and the hotels, how do I know what would be a good fit? Like how do I get that list instead of just, going off of Travelocity or something and just picking it myself? They could do that themselves.
Your wedding planner can definitely give you suggestions. What I see a lot, what I really like is a lot of times when my couples have come a few times, they've stayed at different hotels. Mm-hmm. So they have their own almost TripAdvisor recommendations based on their past stays here. Or we really like this hotel because we had breakfast here, or this one was a close walk to that hike that we love. So when they personalize their experiences and their hotel stays, I think it helps give their guests an inside sight to their lives here in Hawaii.
And that leads into food, right? That's something that, like, should I be recommending restaurants, places to eat?
Yeah, I love that. I love when they kind of create their own, this is our experience in Hawaii. We'd like you to experience the same thing.
This is our favorite sushi restaurant. This is our favorite, like, late night snack. This is our favorite place to go after the bar or whatever it might be.
Right. Or unfavorite bars.
Yeah, sure. I see this, and I think this is a nice little add-on too, is if, again, like this is your sweet spot on the planet and you're like, you've been here 100 times and this is where you want to have your wedding too, like there's probably like hikes and things that you might want to share with your family and friends or things to do. Like, where do you put that?
Right. So again, I think that also goes on the website. Where are the places that we like to go? I've seen a ton of couples where, again, hotels, this is where we think you should stay, transportation, again, food, restaurants, whatnot. And then again, fun activities. So anywhere from snorkeling to hiking to shopping. One of my couples is very into desserts, which, obviously she and I got along so well, but she planned a dessert crawl for a lot of her guests.
Oh,
so
fun.
She's like, start here, then here, then here, eat this. And she kind of planned out, if you want to do a day of a dessert crawl, here are the 6 places that I recommend at these times. Have coffee in between. So she created this experience, like a self-guided dessert crawl.
Or I love a good pub crawl. Like, favorite bars, right? Favorite bars,
For sure.
And that can be an experience for everyone too. I mean, again, it's not necessarily being like healthy and fit and hiking. Maybe it's just like, those kind of like those little hidden gems that you want to share with everybody.
And I think it comes to touch point with who the couple is.
All right. Well, these all seem sort of kind of like self-evident, but there's a lot of questions that our couples get from their guests that maybe aren't so transparent. I want to ask you about this. What about timing? Okay. I see this a lot. Sometimes our couples will put their ceremony start time as like 3:00 on their invitation. And then after they've actually gotten into planning, they've changed it, right? But now they're locked into that time. Where should you be sharing the ceremony start time? Is it on the invitation or should it be just on the website? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think you're asking 2 questions. If they put the ceremony time wrong on their invitation, then you have to course correct, especially if it's something where the vendors are still setting up, or you can't even get into the venue at that time, right?
Right.
You have to let people know by either sending an invitation 2.0 or a, hey, check our website, we have some changes or something. But if it's a big change, you have to let people know,
Yeah. Okay.
right? If it's kind of we want people to come early, so we have the ceremony time on our invitation 30 minutes earlier, wink, wink,
Right.
then I would say, put it on your website. And again, direct people to your website. I think what I get a lot though, really, it's on the day of the wedding, my team, we're with the bride, we're with the groom, and you would not believe how many people text them on the day of their wedding saying, hey, what time is the ceremony? What time does this start? And oh my goodness, like that's crazy. That is so stressful for the couple on the wedding day. This should be on your website. You should have some sort of auto reply on your text to say, hey, check our website for any questions, or hey, we're getting married today. Please.
Can you do that? I didn't know you could do an auto reply.
In
on a
my
text.
head, you can. Well, there's that one where I'll text people and it says, I'm driving.
All right.
So I feel like there must be some sort of auto text.
I don't know if there is or not, but I think probably for all of our listeners too, it's like to like make sure that your guests know where all that information is. Like you don't want them texting. That does happen all the time. I don't know if you can ever change that behavior, right? And then like, what time does the ceremony start? And it's already started. I'm like, dang it.
Well, and again, that's why I think this auto reply thing is going to be a game changer if it
I don't know if it exists.
But I think it is. And a lot of those questions, what time does the ceremony start? What time does the shuttle leave? What time does it end? Again, I'm with the couple all day, and these questions are relentless, and it's the same questions over and over. So again, I would put it on your website. I have couples where, again, they have these push notifications where they email, right? If they have their website through, the Knot or Wedding Wire or one of those big sites, you can auto schedule email reminders as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah. So, hey, our wedding is tomorrow. It's at 5 p.m. Be on time, so you have those reminders, which I think makes it easier and less stressful for the couple to have to deal with.
Also, too, a lot of times ceremonies might be at one location and the reception might be at another location, and it might actually start a few hours, 2-3 hours after the ceremony. Having that really, you don't want your guests to be there 3 hours early.
No, that's totally right. And again, having that information on your website, pushing out that information as a reminder the day before or a couple days before, I think is crucial, right? You don't want on the day of your wedding to be getting just a nonstop amount of text asking these questions that we can pre-answer and put on our website or send out to your friends and family.
Question for you, Tessa. And is this wedding etiquette appropriate for Tessica Holmes? Can I text the couple on the wedding day? Yes or no? Like, could you put that, to avoid all the texts that they get?
It's funny because I have seen that on a website, like, can I text Julia on her wedding day? No. And this is her very fabulous planner's number. And she put my number there.
Oh, perfect.
So again, it's one of those things. But again, the whole thing is we should have all of this information on the website so no one's getting texted. These are questions that was on the invitation. It was pre-sent. It was on the website. There should be no reason other than hey, congrats, so happy for you. Like those are the only texts the couple should be getting on that day.
Okay. Also on the FAQs on your website. Okay, Tessa, there's still a lot of questions that I think need to be answered that our guests are going to be asking. I don't know, do they fit on a wedding website or not? Let me just give you this example.
Sure.
Can I request a song at the reception? Is that something, guests are asking these questions. Where would it be appropriate to actually share that information? On the wedding website? Is that something you ask the coordinator, or is that something you ask the DJ?
So the funny thing is, a lot of these websites now are so fancy where you can submit answers, right? So for example, you can RSVP online if you choose to do it that way. Within that RSVP, you can also pick, for example, your meal selection. Do you have allergies? It's basically like a Google form where you can also say, tell me one song that you want us to play during open dancing.
Oh, I like that.
So it's kind of cool. I just did a wedding and they listed some of the silliest songs that people put at the cocktail table. So they had a list of a printout of the miscellaneous songs that people picked.
You're really selling these websites. I think it makes so much sense. It sounds awesome. I guess I haven't really been paying attention.
It really is for ease of the couple, right? We're taking this off the couple and trying to find an easy way for them to get this information to their guests.
It's interesting that you say that because I think in the past, I used to see on the RSVP, that's when you would make your food choices and also if you had any allergies and these sort of things. But you're saying now it's really more about being able to streamline that whole thing through one place, a wedding website, right?
Yeah. And because it, if they fill it out on the website, it goes into a spreadsheet. You can sort it. So you're not now taking that information from a card, typing this information into a spreadsheet. There's a lot less room for error. And you can data sort. Who are the people that haven't RSVP'd? Who didn't answer about transportation? Who didn't pick their meals? Who has allergies? And it's so much easier.
Oh my gosh, this is mind blowing for me.
I'm glad I could expand your mind today, Joe.
Well, I don't touch a lot of this stuff. I'm sure as a wedding planner, like you see this, you get the couple's websites. I don't really see that too often. Okay, what about this super tricky question? You're having a destination wedding. Do I have to bring a gift for the couple? That is something that I think a lot of guests ask because they're spending all this money to travel, all this money for the hotel, all these different things. Are they expected to bring a gift? Can you ask that question? Or can you answer that in your FAQs?
For sure. If your answer is no, right? If you're putting on your website, a lot of times what people will say is, you know what, we're traveling far. Everyone's coming. I don't want them to bring a gift. Then make sure they put it on your website, right? And it'll often be your presence is our present or something like that. I don't know if you can go the opposite and say, please bring us a gift.
Yeah, maybe not.
But I think you can definitely tell people if you don't want them to bring presents, put that on your website, make it clear, right? Because two parts is if you're already thankful that they are flying here, buying tickets, spending a lot of money and you don't want them to, or also you just don't want to schlep all this stuff back home with you. For two parts, make it known, please don't bring presents.
But if you are hoping for presents, this is also a place where you can throw your registry and all the, like that information, right? You can totally do that, right?
Yeah. But if you're going to do that, what I would recommend is because there's on your registry, you can either pick up in person or have it shipped direct. I would make a note to have the registry items shipped direct to their house.
Not to the destination.
Not to the destination, or don't buy it and then bring it with you. If you are going to stick your registry on your website, make a note somewhere that you would like it shipped to your house.
Love that. All right. And then one more thing that we should talk about. There will inherently be a lot of questions about the location. So for example, if you're having your wedding, what should I do to prepare for altitude sickness? Or if I'm in Hawaii, right? What should I do to prepare? So I think this is also kind of a preemptive question that you can answer for them. What do I need to bring? Sunscreen, like all those things that, make sense for that location.
Yeah, I've definitely seen, on some wedding websites where they say, you're in Hawaii, it will be warm in the day, but it can drop to mid 60s at night. So be prepared. Again, bring a jacket, bring a light sweater. Or again, if a lot of our outdoor venues are kind of grassy or sandy, we recommend wearing flats or hey, flip-flops are allowed, so just kind of setting the tone so they understand. It's as if we were, again, to go to Vail or Colorado where the weather's completely different. What do you need to prepare for?
Yeah, I love that. And again, I think if there's questions that you're getting from multiple friends and family, throw it on your website, right? This is something that I think is easy to do. I think if one person has a question, probably more than one person has that same exact question.
And they're just scared to ask or not trying to bother you. So by putting it on your website, and again, the key to the website is telling people that it exists. So I always tell people the ideal is get your wedding website up first before you send a save the date. So at least you have it. It may not be fully built out, but on your website, you can say, check back every 2 weeks, we're going to have updates, or check back 1 month before and we're going to have all of the information. So it's letting people know this is available for you. It will be updated. Please keep looking.
Okay, Tessa, I hate to say this, but we sound like used car salesmen for like wedding websites, right?
But they're free. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they're free.
Let's just talk about that really quickly. I know that you and I see these websites a lot. I know that a lot of times we get to incorporate engagement pictures, to build out that website. What are the top wedding website places? Like, is it the Knot? Like, who's trending right now?
So I think, the easiest ones to use because they incorporate the guest list, the RSVPs. You have the Knot, you have Wedding Wire, and Minted.
Oh, Minted, because Minted does invitations. So that's smart. Is that free as well? Or is that, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's tons of others. There's a lot of paid websites too. So if you're into design and you don't want to pick one of, 50 different default ones, there's a lot of paid ones as well. and you can kind of custom, and basically you're building a website from scratch. A lot of these are templates that you're just kind of copying, which I think for the most part are more than enough.
Yeah, I think it's kind of silly if it's free. And they're like, I mean, they all look nice. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you want to spend money on it?
Well, again, if design is your thing and you've really kind of put money into the design of your entire wedding from start to finish, your website is going to be a big touch point.
I say save the money for your photographer and your coordinator.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks not for the free websites. All right. And with that, guys, thanks so much for listening. And thanks more for sending us your questions. We absolutely love them. They're our food. They're the things that keep our hearts warm at night. No, but in all honesty, this is what we want to hear. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from our listeners. What are the questions that are burning inside your hearts so we can answer them?
And speaking of listeners, can we give a quick shout out to Christine and Matt, who are diehard listeners and just got married last week?
They promised they're actually going to listen to the show after the wedding. That's how much they love the show.
So this is a test. Christine and Matt, if you're listening, let us know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
It's just a plane ride away.